Hey everybody, welcome to the Chris and Dan Show. Glad to have you here with us. Today we're
SaveOurSites.com.
today we're reacting to, and I'm not sure because Dan loaded the video. He's the one that watches it on his side. So
Ah, yes, Jason Aldean.
yeah, are you
I
familiar with this? What's going on
I'm
right now?
familiar with the controversy, but
Okay,
I haven't heard the song.
so I listened to
And I
him.
heard about it from Vivek Ramaswamy
Okay,
on
so
Instagram.
I listened, and we both like Vivek.
Oh yeah,
We had a
I
conversation
will
about.
vote for him.
Uh, I've yet to hear anything that man has said that I disagree with from a political perspective. Anything, which is
Yep,
rare. I
yep.
always have something I disagree with what politicians say and do, but so far nothing from that man. But I don't think he's electable at this point, at least as president.
Oh, he's super young. He's like 38 or something. He is
Yeah,
a billionaire. He took a
yeah.
biotech public and he came from the hedge fund world. Super smart dude.
So the song we're reacting to is Jason Aldean. Try that in a small town, and the controversy is that this is a racist song in which he mentions not race one time. Uh, so the the thing that I find interesting about this song personally is it's really more of a song that's saying, "Hey, let's stop the violence," right?
You
Uh,
watch this?
I've listened to half of it.
Half? Well,
Um,
it wasn't good enough to do the whole thing or what?
I just figured, hey, let's just react to this. But anyhow, from what I heard, right,
Gotcha.
um, it's really just saying, "Hey, quit with the violence, quit with all of the riots and everything else.
Right.
Um, let's just stop with the violence," right? And for whatever reason, that's racist. Um,
Well,
so,
don't put your okay, is that your real opinion or is what commentaries people are saying?
well, that's what the media is doing, right? They're trying. Basically, they're trying to cancel him
Right.
over this song because it's racist. I mean, I don't understand what else are they canceling it for.
I haven't seen it, so maybe I'll be like fresh perspective. I really haven't heard what the media is saying. I just heard Vivek complaining that people are not liking the song for whatever reasons. On the
So
left. On the
there's
left.
there's a couple of different black politicians that have come out and say this song is racist. So let's just go ahead
Right.
and
Right.
listen to it. I don't want to add any more
But
perspective
that's
since you're
not
not familiar at all.
right, but that's not it's not to say that that's representative of black people in general.
No, no,
Just
of course not. But
the
what I'm
fact that there are
saying
black
is,
politicians, but they could be any politicians. Because
well,
when people do that, they make it seem like all black people are not liking the song, which is not true.
and I agree with that. I completely agree with that. But what I'm saying is, it's the paradigm of media and the political system, which at this point are one and the same, pretty much.
Yeah.
That this messaging needs to be canceled. Let's promote. At least this is the way I'm interpreting it. Let's promote those rap songs that are promoting violence and drugs and things of that nature, right?
Right. Right.
So anyhow,
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks what kind of like world we live in now with what kind of country we live in now with the
yeah.
polarization. No other country's doing this. Like, I mean, in France, they kind of shut that down. It took a week, right?
Yep.
U.S. and then it's only going to get worse because we're going into an election year. So it's one of the
Yeah.
reasons I like Vivek. But anyways, here we go.
Sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk, carjacking old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think it's tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road.
I mean, I could see how could be interpreted as racist. I don't see it as racist.
Well,
Um,
well, do
but
black people live in small towns?
Yeah, right, right. But the but it's not sung by a black person, right? It's sung by a white person, so that's I could see the controversy, but I don't think it's I think he's storytelling. I think he
Exactly.
made this to be controversial. He
Well,
didn't make this to just make it. He made it he knew it was gonna strike a nerve.
well, let's take it to its conclusion in terms of what really happens, right? I mean, yeah, this crap happens all the time in big cities, right?
Right. Don't
And this
bring it to
crap
a
doesn't
small
happen too
town.
often in small towns.
Don't bring it to a small town.
Well, and it
Uh,
doesn't really happen. I mean, it does happen, just not at the same prevalence as in a big city, right? In which they just allow it to happen oftentimes, right? You get, and I'm not getting, trying not to get too political, but you have George Soros position DAs who won't prosecute this stuff oftentimes. Doesn't fly in a
sure,
small town, right? I mean, isn't
sure.
that really kind of how it works?
Yeah, I mean, small towns inherently are self-policed because that's the infrastructure that's there. So you have small towns that are black, small towns that are Hispanic, small towns that are white.
Exactly. It's not racist. It's just that's the way
Right,
it is.
right. But him saying this, being white, we would imply it would imply okay, he's talking from white people in a small town, and usually white people in a small town tend to not like other people coming into their small town. I That's where it's coming from. I don't think it's racist. He's telling a story, and it could be interpreted any which way. But he clearly made this to get reactions, and you're getting it, Jason. And I actually
Did you
like the
know?
song.
Did you know that he was on stage performing in the Las Vegas shooting?
No, I had no. I don't know who this guy is. Only from this controversy.
He was the musician on stage when the shooting started in Las Vegas,
Wow,
the biggest mass shooting in U.S. history.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. Did not know that.
Yep.
Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line.
See, around here we take care of our own. I mean, yeah, like of course.
Yeah. Small town bit. That's small town
The
attitude.
smaller the town, the less diverse it is, right? So that's where
So
the where people can say, well, he's just talking about white people, white towns.
so I don't disagree with that perspective. I don't agree with that perspective. I think what he's saying is we know
You
each
don't
other
agree
here.
with the smaller the town, the less diverse it is. This is a fact.
No, I don't agree with that. So I think what he's saying, what he's meaning to, it depends on what you mean by diverse. Are you speaking racially diverse?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I don't agree with that. So depending on where you go, there's very diverse towns. Not they're not all white, or they're not all black, or they're not all Hispanic. There's a mixture. I think what he's saying, my interpretation,
where?
is well, you live in a kind of a small town.
But he's talking about like really small towns, like not like 100,000 people. He's talking about like 10,000 people.
Is he?
That's what I take. I mean, yeah, I guess this is where interpretation comes in.
So when
When
I
I
think
hear small town, I hear everyone knows everyone, and it's true. Yuma compared to LA is not as diverse. There's only Latinos and whites generally here. I mean, of course, there's
sure.
other races, but the majority of people here are Latino and white. The bigger the city, the more diverse you get. You
Okay,
go to
well,
Tucson, you get more cultures. You go to Phoenix, you get even more. You go to LA, you get even more.
okay, so let's take your perspective for a moment. Small towns. So what you're saying is if it's a small town and there's some black people live there, that's all that lives there is black people.
That's the majority of what lives there.
Okay. Okay, but at the same time, this song would still apply to them, right? From your
Yes.
perspective, everybody knows
Yes.
everybody. You come to our town, we know you're not from here, so you better behave yourself,
Right.
right? And now
Right.
I guess that's what he's saying. So it could apply to both perspectives, and
Of course it can, but he's white. So that's why people are saying, well, what is he talking about? He
mm,
must be from a small town himself. I'm perfect to watch this because I don't know who he is, you know.
mhm.
Now, mind you, I don't think it's wrong what
Right.
he's saying. He's storytelling. But
Mhm.
I can see why people are like, "Ah, well," I mean, they you know how the media, they go too far.
Well, take that another step. Do you think that would be a good or bad thing if towns were only big enough so where everybody could know one another? Good or bad?
I think it's neither. I think you can live there if you want, and you can have big cities, and you can have any kind of city you want, so you can tune in on your own diversity. I
Well,
mean,
see,
one of the
my
reasons I wanna move back is it there's more, like, stuff going on in the bigger cities,
there are
like
more things to
diversities.
do. More
I
things
like
to do.
it, yeah.
Well,
I'll take the problems for the good stuff too.
so my argument would be in a small town in which everybody knows everybody. I think you're more apt to help one another when you know
Of course,
everybody,
of course.
and you're also more apt to keep things in line, right?
Yeah.
If people are
Self-policing, like I said.
exactly. So I think there's more positive than negative in a small town. The negative is, as you just pointed out, there's less to do.
Right, so why don't you live there then?
I don't know. I might. I'm
Okay,
considering it actually
okay. Well,
because
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's not good or bad, it's do you want it, and do you want it at this time in your life, and do you want
mhm,
is it appropriate for you at that time in your life,
right.
But I can see how the way he's saying it, because of who he is, if it was a black person saying this in the same style country, there'd be white people saying, "Man, I wonder what town he's from, we shouldn't go there." Bet you.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't. I wouldn't take it that way.
Chris,
Yeah, but some would.
sure. Well, of course, somewhat. I'm not talking about you. I
Hmm.
said some people would be saying that for a fact.
All right, fair enough.
And it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town.
Right.
Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. See,
Try that in a small town, and the visuals for this are like perfect. You know, I, I mean, clearly he's smart, and without knowing anything about him, like this is kind of the same emotional, like like the visceral reaction of why Trump won in the first place. Now, the second
Mm,
time Trump might win is not going to be because of this stuff.
right.
Like people are just
yeah,
fed. Sorry, people are just fed up. But the original time, he tapped into this stream. Like, nah, people are pissed, and that's why.
Hmm.
So he's doing the same thing. It's very smart.
Well, and the other reason I would disagree with it that in any way this should be perceived as racist because who was predominantly responsible for the the riots and such in 2020? It was white people. It was white Antifa.
Yeah, leftists. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
of
so this
course.
is not a race thing. I just believe this is a behavior thing. That's my
It's.
opinion, but
I mean, that's why I don't have a problem with this song. But again, what I'm saying is like it can be interpreted multiple ways. There is
I,
not just one way it can be interpreted.
I would even take it a step further.
Isn't that the thing with art? Like
Sure,
the
certainly,
fact what art does is multiple interpretations,
it's very
and
subjective.
I mean, yeah, and you can hold like multiple opinions about something. Like there's one possibility, there's another. The one we did with how to love, same thing. Like
Yeah,
two
and
ways you can go about it.
I would bet money that if you were to take a somewhat racist small white community town
Yeah,
and you gave them an option here, we're going to send 10 very leftist Antifa members to
of
live in your
course
town,
they would hate it.
or we're going to send you 10 patriotic black people to live in your town. They're all picking the 10 patriotic black people. Telling
Of
you right now.
of course. But do they treat them the same as themselves?
They might treat them a little differently initially until they get
And
to know
that
them.
right there,
Initially, until they get to know them, they might.
until
I don't know.
initially, right. But that alone, that right there is like the spark, right? For
But I
why
think
people
that's true
feel
of
a certain way.
if you were to take a black community or a Hispanic community. It's going to be the same thing. You introduce
Exactly.
people
Which
that
is
don't look
why,
like them.
if this were released, you know, as a black person singing the same song, it would be taken that way also by some white people.
Sure. I think it's more, in my opinion, in these small towns, it's more to do you fit into our culture first? Second, do you look like us? That would be my opinion.
Right. Right. And it's that second part that's like, well, it's a little bit offensive with the song, like a little
Right.
bit, but I understand it.
Yeah, maybe.
The more
Maybe.
moderate ones would be like, I understand it, but it's still like, tell me which town this is so I don't go.
Sure.
Because even if you are like a black Republican, right, you would want to hypothetically know this town to like kind of maybe avoid it
Hmm.
from the sounds of this.
It depends.
If you take this, unravel this thread far enough, that's an potential.
Hmm.
That's
I
all I'm
suppose.
saying, man.
I suppose.
The people are saying, "Oh, I have no idea why people think this is." I mean, they're not considering all aspects. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough.
How far you make it down the road?
And that's why doing these podcasts is important, to have these kind of discussions.
Mhm.
Like, things are not 1 or 0 binary. This is not computer code. There's an infinite possibility in between those two ends. And somewhere in that spectrum is this Jason tuned into it. How far down one side or the other is up to you to decide.
Yeah, to my understanding, this is the number one song in America right now.
It should tell you a lot about what's going on.
Yeah.
Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town full of good old boys, raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. Try that in a small town. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town.
These farmers are dropping their own crops for the day. A friend is in need, and they've come to help.
It's what this community and a lot of our communities stand for. Somebody needs some help, you'll get it.
Yeah, Dr. Fox brought that up at my podcast with him earlier this morning. I went live with him. He
Mhm.
shared his story when he was a PhD that got laid off, like right when 2 months after he got hired, and couldn't find another job because he's overqualified and had a lot of loans, and nonprofit organizations in small communities like this helped him out a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why he likes to give back. And so what he said there is very important.
Yeah. And true, I believe.
Yeah, and not just small towns either. Like, it's big towns too. They do this.
Mm,
It's
less,
you lose the
less
sense of
inclined, I
community.
think.
You
Less
lose the
inclined
sense of
than big cities.
community, but if you find the right nonprofit or org, there are small town feelings
Oh, sure.
within
Sure.
small town pockets within the larger cities.
Mhm.
In a small town.
Yeah, no, very good. I actually like it, and but I do see why it's causing controversy. I can do both. I can like it and see why. There's something there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you like it?
Yes,
Found it to be a good song?
it's like guitar melody. I like country too, so
Sure. But you can relate to why some people are taking issue with this.
yeah, I can see it. It's not like, oh, where I'm trying so hard and I can't see it. No, I'm able to, and I think if people like are able to take perspective of others just a little, they would be able to see something too. I'm
Okay.
not saying it's bad.
No, no.
I'm just saying,
So, and I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of where I could see maybe people are coming from, but being able to relate to where they're coming from and agreeing with what they're saying are two
of
different things.
course, yeah, yes, yes, and you don't. This is not a green light to agree with what the media is making the song out to be
Right.
either. Not what I'm saying. What
I
did Vinny Paz say in his last song? The most dangerous lie is the one closest to the truth.
Sure, and that's
But
absolutely true.
Jason knew that, and he tapped into it because controversy is good.
Yeah,
You can
and
still have conviction about a message, which I'm sure he does, and know it's going to cause controversy.
the one
And
thing
as
I'm
an
gonna
artist, you hope for that, actually.
yeah, and the one thing I'm gonna give him, this Jason Aldean, which I know very little about other than he was the performing
I
artist
didn't know that.
at
Yeah.
Las Vegas. Never heard any of his music. This is the first song I've heard by him, which I liked. I'm not a big country fan though. I like the fact that he's not backing down, right?
Yeah,
He's
he
being
shouldn't.
demanded that you
If you,
apologize for
yeah,
releasing such a song and all. He's like, get the hell out of here.
if you, Hazen said it best on Twitter, if you have no enemies, that means you never stood up for something.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
I agree.
yeah. You don't
Good.
have to agree with 100% of what somebody says to agree that they have the right to do that, and to also agree that others may perceive it in a way that's could be offensive. I mean,
Mhm.
all those things I just said can be true at the same time.
Sure. Yeah, and
So
I believe he even released a statement in which he said, I'd be happy if I were being racist to apologize, but you tell me where I'm being racist,
right,
which he's
right.
not. He's
Not.
that can't be argued. He's not
He's
being
not.
racist.
He's not. But racists could take this as their anthem just as easily. You can't say no to that.
I suppose there's an element of truth to that. I don't
Yes.
know. I think in order for it to be any kind of racial anthem for any race, you have to define the race, right?
Right, but no one's doing that.
Yeah,
It's just music, and you either bump it or you don't.
yeah. And
That's
I
it.
think the music's subjective. You don't have to like it.
Yeah, we tend to overcomplicate things in our world. It's just, it is what it is, man. Let it
I
be.
I tend to agree with the messaging of the song. Hey, get to know your neighbor, treat each other nicely, be there for them if you
Yeah,
can.
I don't disagree either.
So,
But I also can see, like, okay, some people will be like, yeah, I'll stay away from that place. And that's it. I got to get going.
all right,
There's another pod coming up. Great. We do this again, man. All right.
all right.
Next week, sometime.
Thanks for
The week
watching,
after.
everybody.
The week after.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Thanks
Bye
for
bye.
watching. Subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the song and our commentary.
This one will do well for us, I predict.
All right, fair enough. All right, Dan. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, you too.